كل فعل يراد به التقرب إلى الله عز وجل وهو خلاف السنة فهو بدعة ضلالة.
And the Shaykh has given an example here of the righteous wife. He says that the righteous wife is like the soil. The righteous wife is like the soil. It is the soil into which you throw a seed. And the seed, if the soil is wholesome and righteous, then that seed will grow and develop into fruits. It will grow into fruits that will be of benefit. And then the father comes along and then he further develops by way of tarbiyah, by way of fulfilling the obligations that he has, that he develops this further. So the first stage the Shaykh says is that the choosing of a righteous wife, because he gives the example, he mentions the poetry, وَالْأُمُّ مَدْرَسَةٌ إِذَا أَعْدَدْتَهَا أَعْدَدْتَ شَعْبًا طِيبَ الْإِعْرَاقِ. He says that the mother is like a school. If you prepare the mother, then you have prepared an entire society, which is of good breed, which is of good stock, which has good qualities and characteristics. So this is the nature of the mother. The Shaykh mentions the hadith that you heard earlier in the lesson, that a woman is married for 4 things: either her beauty, her wealth, her status, her lineage, or her religion. So marry the one which has the religion, and may your hands turn to dust. And the Shaykh explains that because the mother is the one who will nurture the children from an early age, if she is righteous, then she will nurture them upon the excellent good qualities. If she herself is upon taqwa and good manners, then the children will inherit that from her. And if it is an evil mother, a neglectful mother, then the children will follow in this same way. Now, an example I want to give to illustrate this point here is an example from Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, and this is a lesson for us to show the insight and the wisdom that the Salaf had, in that they thought generations into the future. They thought generations into the future. And the example I want to give is of Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. We see in the book written by Abdullah bin al-Hakam, he compiled a book. He died in the year 216 Hijrah. And he wrote a book, Sirat Umar bin Abdul Aziz, ala ma rawahu al-Imam Malik bin Anas wa ashabih, which is a biography of Umar bin Abdul Aziz based upon what has been narrated from Imam Malik bin Anas and his companions. So he compiled this book and he died in the year 216 Hijrah. So it's a very, very early book. And Umar bin Abdul Aziz, he died in the year 101 Hijrah. So listen to this story. Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, he prohibited the dilution of milk. The people used to dilute the milk and used to sell it. And this was like a form of cheating in the weights and measures by diluting the milk so they could sell more milk. So Umar radiallahu anhu, he issued a command that no one is allowed to dilute the milk. So one night he was walking in Medina and he went to the outskirts of Medina and he heard a woman addressing her daughter. So this woman said to her daughter, "Why do you not dilute the milk? Why do you not dilute the milk with water?" And so the girl said, "How can I mix the milk? How can I mix the milk? When Amirul Mu'mineen, he has prohibited this dilution of the milk." So the mother said, "But all the people dilute the milk. Everybody is diluting the milk. So Amirul Mu'mineen, he won't know. Just go ahead, dilute the milk. Everybody's doing it anyway. And Amirul Mu'mineen, Umar bin al-Khattab, he won't know." So the daughter, the girl, she said, "If Umar does not know, then the Lord and the deity of Umar does know." So she said this to her mother. So when Umar bin al-Khattab, when he heard this statement of this girl, it affected his heart. It entered and it struck his heart. So then he rushed home. He went home And as soon as the day broke, the next day came, the day broke, he said to his son Asim, the son of Umar, he said, "O Asim, I want you to go to this location on the outskirts of Medina, and there is a girl," and then he described some of the characteristics, "and I want you to find out who is this girl. Find out this girl based upon these qualities that I've mentioned to you." So Asim, he went to this region, he went and he started asking the people in that region, "Do you know so-and-so, whatever?" So he found out and he realized that this girl is from the offspring of Banu Hilal, a particular tribe. So he came back and he told his father Umar that, "Oh father, this girl is from the tribe of Banu Hilal." So Umar bin al-Khattab, he said to her, he said, "Go, my son." Now listen, this is the firasa. Firasa is what we call practical intelligence, insight, foresight. This is what Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu, that he was given. And look at the concern of Umar bin al-Khattab. He said to him, when he came back and he found out who this girl was, he said, "Go, my son, and marry her. For indeed, she is likely to bring forth through her offspring a knight who will lead the Arabs." This is what Umar bin al-Khattab, he said about this girl on the basis of what? When he saw her honesty, he saw her truthfulness, he saw her sidq, he saw her amana, trustworthiness. He saw in her the fear of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, "Go, my son, marry her, for indeed it is as if that from her offspring there will come a leader, a knight, he said, who will lead the Arabs." So Asim, he obeyed his father, he went and he married her. And from her there was born Asim, the daughter of Asim. And from Asim, who is now the granddaughter of Umar bin al-Khattab, she then married Abdul Aziz bin Marwan bin al-Hakam. And from Abdul Aziz bin Marwan bin al-Hakam was born Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahimahullahu ta'ala. And Umar bin Abdul Aziz, as you know, is a caliph who revived the Sunnah and put an end to bid'ah. If you read the biography of Umar bin Abdul Aziz, you will see that after Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu, he fought against the apostates and he consolidated Islam and he strengthened Islam. And thereafter we saw the Khawarij and the Rafida and the Qadariyya and the Murjiya on the verge of appearing. Along came Umar bin Abdul Aziz rahimahullahu ta'ala, and he was a reviver of the religion. And if you read his biography, you see that he would send out agents to different parts of the Muslim land, ordering them to kill off the innovations and to revive the Sunan. And he wrote refutations against the Qadariyya. He wrote against the Khawarij. He would send them letters to refute them and admonish them. And he would warn against the Shia. This is Umar bin Abdul Aziz, and because of this concern for the Sunnah and killing off bid'ah, we see that Islam was revived by way of Umar bin Abdul Aziz. And this is why you see Al-Layth bin Sa'ad, the great alim in Egypt, he said that it used to be said, the people used to say, that al-firasa, what is al-firasa? In English, the word al-firasa means perspicacity, where someone has extreme insight, practical intelligence into matters. The people used to say that al-firasa was found or was exemplified in the example of Al-Aziz in Egypt and Yusuf alayhi salam. When Al-Aziz, he said to Yusuf alayhi salam, he made Yusuf to be someone who is in charge of the the affairs in Egypt when there was the famine and the harvest and so on and so forth. He put Yusuf alayhi salam in charge of that. So the people used to say that this was from the intelligence of Al-Aziz to appoint Yusuf alayhi salam, because he saw in him qualities which he knew would be a benefit for his people and for that nation. This is one example that the people used to mention, the Salaf used to mention, of extreme intelligence and foresight. And the second example that they give is the example of Umar bin al-Khattab with respect to Umar bin Abdul Aziz, who is from the grandchildren, who is the great grandchild of Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu. And so they used to say that the firasa of Umar bin al-Khattab, when he said to his son, "O my son, marry her, for indeed she is about to bring a knight who will lead the Arabs." So you see, when you look at this example and you see how the Salaf, we've already mentioned the prophets, how the Salaf would see their children. They would see their children with foresight. They would look at their children. The children don't exist yet, but they see what they want their children to be. You see, ya ikhwan, this is a world apart from a person just merely seeing the fulfillment of his desire and the child being a consequence. You see that difference between what we see from the prophets and the messengers and the Salaf, the example of Umar ibn al-Khattab, where they look generations into the future and they have a vision and they see what they envisage in the offspring. And between a person, a man, whose tarbiyah is a tarbiyah of an animal, as the Shaykh will come to mention in a short while. That some people have the tarbiyah of an animal. This is the tarbiyah that they give to their children. Why? Because their vision of children is unlike what we see from the prophets and the messengers and the Salaf. Because children to them, it is just fulfilling the desires, and the children are just a byproduct and a consequence. So there's a world apart. So if this is your perception of what you see your children, that the children are just a consequence of me fulfilling my desires, then the tarbiyah that they will receive will be similar to the tarbiyah which is the hayawaniyah, the animalistic type of tarbiyah. So my brothers and sisters, the lesson that we take from this is that we look to our children before we even have children. We have a vision what we want those children to be. That they are carriers of the tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are carriers of the sunnah of the messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. They are followers of the Sahaba radiyallahu anhum. How will they be like that? They will be like that because of ta'leem, by way of teaching, by way of tarbiyah, by way of ta'deeb, cultivating them. How will that be achieved? And then you work backwards. You work all the way backwards and you think, what are the things I need to do to make sure that this is the tarbiyah that they receive? So this is the vision. This is, you see, the vision of the Salaf and the insight of the Salaf. So as we said, the first step is choosing a righteous wife. And in the example, let this be an example from Umar bin al-Khattab for everybody. That this is an unforgettable example from Umar bin al-Khattab radiyallahu anhu.